Lord, if this is a mistake, please forgive me. Those were the choked whispers of Maya Coleman, a single black mother clutching an envelope with her last $900. 6 months unemployed, 2 draining jobs, and a 2-year-old son with severe asthma. Maya was at her breaking point. Standing in the middle of an auction, she poured everything into buying an abandoned house no one dared touch. But this wasn't just about crumbling walls. The Mercer house once belonged to a black female scientist who vanished mysteriously 3 decades ago. And within those walls, Maya was about to uncover something that could change the world or take her life and her son's. Will that house bring salvation or a death sentence? That morning, the southern sky was gray and heavy, like a mourning shroud. Maya Coleman sat in her beat-up car, her hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly, her knuckles turned pale. Inside her purse, a thin envelope trembled with each breath she took, $900 in cash. All that remained after 8 months of hell. She had once been a nurse, walking hospital corridors in crisp white scrubs with quiet pride. But the small-town hospital where she worked for 8 years shut down abruptly, sweeping away the fragile stability of her life. Since then, Maya juggled 2 grueling jobs, morning shifts at a local coffee shop, evening shifts at a convenience store. Every meager paycheck dissolved like salt in the sea against the cost of medicine for Ethan, her 2-year-old son, with severe asthma, whose lungs could seize up from a single gust of dusty wind. The day her landlord announced the sale of their building, Maya cried until her throat was raw. 30 days to find a new place, but in a skyrocketing rental market, her battered credit score only slammed doors in her face. The threat of homelessness stalked them like a shadow. Then, during a sleepless night, the blue glow of her phone led her to a strange ad, a county tax lien property auction. Most lots started at tens of thousands of dollars, but buried in the endless list, one line leaped out. Old farmhouse 3 acres starting bid $750. Maya stared at the blurry photo. A stark white 2-story house, peeling paint, shattered windows, a sagging front porch ready to collapse. It looked like a scene from a horror movie, but her monthly rent was higher than the starting bid. Tasha told me I'm crazy, Maya recalled. Her best friend had been blunt. Girl, that place is dangerous. Mold everywhere. Ethan won't survive there. But Maya had no options left. Sometimes you have to risk everything to keep everything, her grandmother used to say. Today, those words echoed like fate. She stepped into the county courthouse where the auction was held. The cold marble lobby reflected the sharp clack of shoes from sharply dressed real estate investors. Maya, in a faded green coat from her first job interview over a decade ago, felt small and out of place. She sat at the back, quietly watching. Lot after lot, houses and land were sold in a flash, prices soaring within minutes. With each jump in numbers, Maya's hope withered further. But then, the auctioneer's voice rang out. Next, property number 48,572, an old farmhouse on Old Mill Road, abandoned for over 15 years. Starting bid, $750. The room fell silent. Not a single hand went up. $750. Anyone to open? Maya's trembling hand shot up. No one reacted except a man engrossed in his phone, lazily raising his hand at $800. Maya swallowed hard, bidding $850. Her heart pounded. $900? The auctioneer turned, searching the room. The man smirked, casually lifting a finger. $900. The exact amount Maya had, not a penny more. She took a deep breath, raised her hand. $900. The auctioneer paused. Ma'am, the current bid is already $900. You'd need $950 to advance. No, I bid $900, same as him. Maya's voice cracked, choked with desperation. It's all I have. A heavy silence blanketed the room. The auctioneer glanced at the man. He shrugged, returning to his phone screen. Nah, I'm out. Sold for $900 to the woman in the green coat. The gavel struck. In that moment, Maya felt like she was free-falling. She had just bought a house. No savings left. No safety net. Just a cold key and a trembling stack of papers in her hands. Stepping out of the courthouse, a sharp morning breeze whipped her loose hair. Maya clutched the key, feeling both freed and condemned. As her rickety car turned off the main road, she whispered as if promising herself, "Ethan, you'll have a home, whether it's heaven or hell." And before we dive into the main story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. Oh, and drop a comment below to let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear it. That late afternoon, Maya's old car crawled along a winding dirt road into the countryside. The blood-red sun sank behind rows of oaks, casting dappled light across the dusty windshield. Ethan sat in the passenger seat, clutching his backpack, his eyes a mix of excitement and worry. "You sure you want to see it?" Maya asked softly. Ethan nodded, his dark eyes sparking with rare hope after months of gloom. The final stretch of the path opened to a clearing. Weeds grew waist-high, nearly hiding the driveway. As the car pushed through, the Mercer house loomed after a bend, and in that moment, Maya's hope flickered out. The house was worse than the listing photo. Peeling white paint revealed gray, rotting wood. Many windows were smashed or boarded shut. The front porch sagged, as if clinging to the damp earth. The yard was a jungle of weeds, threatening to swallow the house whole. Ethan swallowed hard. "We're gonna live here?" His voice was thin as paper. Maya forced a smile. "It needs work, but it's ours. No one can take it away." They stepped out of the car, the air thick with the smell of damp earth and rotting wood. As Maya turned the key in the lock, the door groaned like a wail. Inside, darkness poured out, heavy and cold. Maya switched on her phone's flashlight, sweeping the beam around. The living room was coated in dust, the ceiling stained yellow from water leaks. The wooden floor cracked and littered with animal droppings. A broken rocking chair lay abandoned. The kitchen held rusted appliances, cabinets crumbling to dust. As Ethan climbed the stairs, each step creaked under his weight. Upstairs, peeling floral wallpaper bore faint childish scribbles, but then a harsh, wheezing cough shattered the silence. Ethan clutched his chest, an asthma attack hitting hard. Maya frantically pulled him outside. He fumbled with his inhaler, each breath stabilizing slowly. Maya stared at the dark house, her heart twisting. "God, what have I done?" Dusk fell. They couldn't sleep in that house. In the end, Maya decided they'd spend the night in the car. Ethan dozed fitfully in the seat, while Maya stared out the window, the Mercer house looming in the dark like a silent giant keeping watch. The next morning, an engine's rumble woke Maya. An old pickup truck stopped at the driveway. An elderly black woman with silver hair stepped out, carrying a wicker basket. Her face was lined, but her eyes shone with gentle warmth. "Good morning," she called, her voice thick with a southern drawl. "Saw a light flickering here last night. I'm Iris Barnes, live down the road." She handed Maya the basket, warm cornbread, a thermos of coffee, a jug of orange juice. "Figured you and your boy could use breakfast." Maya choked out a thank you, introducing herself. When she mentioned the Mercer house, Iris's eyes froze. She studied Maya for a long moment, as if weighing something. "You know," Iris said slowly, "nobody's come near this place since Josephine disappeared." "Josephine?" Maya asked. "Josephine Mercer, the old owner. Vanished in 1989. Not a trace left. Car still in the garage, clothes and belongings untouched, but she was gone. Cops called it voluntary. Folks around here know better." Iris lowered her voice, her eyes flickering with fear. "They say this house is cursed." Ethan, standing beside his mother, looked up at the old woman. "Is it really cursed?" Iris gave a faint smile. "I don't believe in curses, but I believe this house holds memories. Josephine was special, a healer, a scientist. She treated this community when they couldn't afford hospitals." Maya's eyes wavered. The nurse in her felt an invisible thread. A black woman, forgotten, fighting to heal the poorest. Now Maya was walking that same desperate path. But before she could ask more, Iris glanced around, as if afraid someone might overhear. "What she left on this land, it's not just a garden." Maya shivered. The old woman's words hung in the air, both a warning and a message. Dear viewers, pause for a moment to hit that subscribe button before diving into the main story, but only if you truly connect with what I'm sharing here. and leave a comment below to let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. It's amazing to see folks from all over joining us. The afternoon light filtered dimly through broken windows. In the crumbling house, Maya moved alone through layers of dust and rot, while Ethan sat on the porch to avoid another asthma attack. The heavy silence felt like stepping deeper into an untold story. Dragging a tattered rug in a small room, Maya's shoe caught on a gap. She knelt, prying with a screwdriver. A floorboard popped up, revealing a dark hollow beneath. Her heart raced, her hands trembling as she pulled out an old tin box, its surface tarnished but sturdy. Inside, under a thin layer of dust, were 3 items neatly arranged: a dark leather-bound notebook, a stack of yellowed photos, and an ornate brass key. Maya sat on the floor, opening the notebook. The smell of old paper and leather rose, sharp and nostalgic. The first page bore neat handwriting. Journal of Josephine Eleanor Mercer, 1982. The early pages brimmed with optimism and a hunger for renewal. Josephine wrote of leaving the city for a new life in the countryside, of building an herb garden, of the joy in helping neighbors with traditional remedies. Her words glowed, full of faith, like summer sunlight on freshly sown beds. But a few pages later, the tone shifted. The writing grew tight, technical, filled with medical terms and chemical structures. Josephine wasn't just a folk healer, she was a true scientist. Her meticulous notes revealed a unique compound, extracted from a hybrid plant she'd developed, showing rare promise in treating a near-hopeless disease, Carter's syndrome. Maya stopped breathing. As a nurse, she knew this disease was a death sentence, yet Josephine seemed to have found a key. The deeper Maya read, the darker the pages grew. A recurring initial appeared, RP, a persistent figure who visited repeatedly, offering to buy her research. At first, with promises, then warnings, finally threats. The journal's dates pulled Maya toward an abyss. An entry from early April, 1989, described RP raising the offer to 7 figures, but Josephine refused. Her reason was simple. This research belonged to those who needed it, not a corporation that would lock it behind patents. A chilling entry from May 15 read, "Someone was in the lab last night. Papers disturbed. I'll hide everything elsewhere. If I disappear, know I fought to the end. RP will never own this work." The pages after were blank, as if Josephine's life stopped there. Maya closed the journal, her hands shaking from touching a truth buried for 3 decades. A black woman, brilliant and resolute, had stood against a titan and paid with her disappearance. She pulled out the photos, each faded image showing Josephine's face. A tall, graceful woman, her heterochromatic eyes, one blue, one brown, staring boldly at the camera, sometimes gentle, sometimes stern. In many, she stood amid a thriving herb garden, surrounded by lab equipment, vials, notebooks. A striking image, a black scientist, building her own research world in a remote farmhouse. Maya gripped the brass key, heavy in her palm. It carried the weight of an unopened secret. She didn't know where it led, but instinct told her it held Josephine's answers. A sudden gust blew through, rattling a window pane. Maya startled, the journal slipping from her hands. As she bent to pick it up, she glimpsed a reflection in the dusty glass. Not just her own. Another pair of eyes, one blue, one brown, staring back from the darkness. Maya stumbled back, her heart pounding, cold sweat on her neck. When she dared look again, the glass showed only her trembling reflection in the empty room. Ethan's voice echoed from the porch, wary and sharp. Someone had just pulled up to the driveway. Maya stuffed the journal and key into her coat, rushing to the door. Dust still swirled in the air, obscuring a middle-aged man stepping slowly from a pickup truck. His eyes scanned the house, cold and probing, as if he already knew what lay inside. All right, dear viewers, if you're hooked on this story, drop a 1 in the comments or write, "I'm still here," to keep listening. The late afternoon dragged over the wild grass surrounding the Mercer house. Maya sat on the rotting porch steps, her hand clutching the brass key in her pocket. Since opening the journal, the house no longer felt like a mere shelter. It was a witness, silently guarding the past secrets, waiting for the right person to unlock them. Sam appeared, his usual gruff demeanor intact, his coat dusted with sawdust, his calloused hands smelling of pine resin. Maya told him about the tin box, the journal, the unfinished entries. Without a trace of doubt, his face grew somber, his dark eyes narrowing as Maya showed him the ornate key. Sam nodded, as if he'd been expecting this all along. They decided to search at night, when the faint moonlight lit the way and the countryside's silence hid their steps. Ethan and Lily stayed in the trailer, under Iris's care. Maya carried a flashlight, Sam a crowbar. They wove through tall grass, past a broken fence, until Sam stopped at a dense thicket of blackberry bushes. Behind the thorns was a low concrete wall, covered in moss and vines. A rusted metal door emerged, nearly swallowed by darkness. Its lock, old and intricate, matched the brass key perfectly. Maya stepped forward, her heart pounding. As the key turned, a creak echoed, like a whisper from an awakened past. The door opened, cold air rushing out. They entered an underground room, barely 10 square meters but solid, its thick concrete walls untouched by time. Unlike the decaying house above, this space was eerily preserved, as if guarded by an invisible hand. The flashlight beam revealed long shelves lined with glass jars, test tubes, labeled bags of dried herbs. A wooden table stood at the center, covered with drawings, diagrams, chemical formulas, all protected under thin glass. Maya's breath caught. This was the heart of Josephine's work. In a corner, a microscope far more advanced than its era gleamed faintly under dust. Maya recognized it instantly. Josephine hadn't just relied on folk knowledge, she'd embraced experimental science, blending two worlds. That fusion made her work dangerous to a profit-driven corporation. Sam aimed the light under the table. A small safe lay hidden among wooden crates. Its lock matched the brass key perfectly. Maya didn't hesitate. As the lock clicked open, her breath stopped. Inside, neatly stacked, were thick notebooks. Each page detailed experiments, results, comparisons, and finally, a complete formula. The ink remained sharp, the numbers unmistakable. Maya trembled as she read the conclusion. The compound's effectiveness against Carter's syndrome was near perfect in early trials. An unthinkable breakthrough, written in Josephine's steadfast hand. In that moment, Maya felt the woman's presence, her heterochromatic eyes gleaming with unyielding faith. At the safe's bottom was a sealed envelope, marked, "To whoever finds this." Maya opened it. A thin sheet bore familiar handwriting. "If you're reading this, I'm likely gone. This work belongs to humanity, not a company. Richard Patton threatened me, but I didn't yield. I hid copies elsewhere. If the truth must be revealed, take it to those who can protect it. This house will choose the right person. Trust your instincts." Maya froze, holding the letter, her heartbeat blending with the thick silence. A faint breeze slipped through the door, carrying the dry scent of herbs. In the darkness, she felt Josephine watching, not with resentment, but with quiet anticipation. As they stepped outside, the night had deepened. Above, a silver moon blazed down on the abandoned garden. Maya looked at the house, feeling for the first time it wasn't a burden, but a legacy to protect. Yet with it came immeasurable danger, because if she'd found this treasure, others were watching, waiting to seize it, and Maya knew the game had just begun. That night, Maya barely slept. Josephine's journal pages, her formulas, spun in her mind, as if urging her to act before it was too late. The underground lab felt like a gold mine, radiant yet threatening. Maya knew she held not just a legacy, but something powerful enough to be destroyed for. Outside the trailer, night winds whipped through the grass, carrying an eerie whistle that made Maya shudder. Ethan slept soundly beside her, his breathing soft and steady, but Maya strained to hear every sound, every faint movement in the dark. She couldn't shake the feeling someone was out there, hidden, watching their every breath. The next morning, as sunlight spilled into the valley, a sleek black SUV pulled up to the driveway. Its polished frame and tinted windows looked alien in the poor rural setting. A tall, thin man stepped out, his tailored suit sharp, his smile thin as a blade. He introduced himself with a card, "Thomas Wright, County Assessor's Office." His voice was smooth, but each word chilled Maya like ice. He spoke of procedural irregularities in the auction, issues never mentioned when Maya signed the papers. He suggested the house could be repossessed, her ownership suspended. Then, casually, he offered another option: a cash payout to leave. $20,000, more than she'd paid, enough for a fresh start. Maya's heart pounded. This wasn't about paperwork. This was a warning. The man's eyes were cold, indifferent to justice. He didn't want the house. He wanted what was inside it. Sam, standing nearby, remained calm. He demanded specific legal documents, cited statutes. The man's smile twitched, a flash of irritation in his eyes. As he left, he offered a parting whisper, light as a breeze but sharp as a knife. Think carefully. Every choice has consequences. The SUV rolled away, leaving a cloud of dust. Maya watched, her chest heavy. Instinct told her, this man wasn't from any county office. He was the hand of a force that had once driven Josephine to despair. The following days, the air around the house grew thick. Maya noticed strange cars circling the road. The mailbox held blank papers, neatly folded, a wordless message that someone was watching her every move. Then one afternoon, Ethan burst into tears, his inhaler failing. Maya checked it and froze. The medication inside was gone, replaced with water. Not an accident. Someone had tampered with their belongings, slipping into their safest space. Panicked, Maya held her son close, feeling his wheezing breaths like an urgent warning. Sam checked the car, emerging pale. The brake lines had been cut. Had Maya driven Ethan to the hospital, they wouldn't have survived to tell the tale. In that moment, Maya saw the fragile line between past and present. Josephine had been threatened, watched, silenced. Now it was Maya's turn, with her son, walking the same path. The notebooks in the underground lab weren't just science. They were a spark that could burn anyone who held them. That night, a fierce storm rolled in. Rain lashed the trailer's roof, lightning illuminating the tangled orchard beyond. Ethan curled close to his mother, while Maya, eyes wide, listened to every sound amid the thunder. In the flickering light, she glimpsed a figure standing in the garden, motionless, like a sentinel of the night. When Maya rushed to look closer, the garden held only swaying trees under the rain. But the chill didn't fade. She knew. The game had entered a new phase. There was no room for hesitation. Dear viewers, are you still with us? Take a moment to relax. Maybe grab a glass of water, then dive back into this gripping story. Drop a 1 in the comments if you're hooked. And don't forget to hit subscribe. The rain had stopped, the sky heavy and gray like a taut curtain. Maya sat on the wooden steps, her trembling hands flipping through Josephine's notes under the flashlight's glow. Numbers, charts, chemical structures danced before her eyes, but beneath them was a clear message. Josephine had been ahead of her time, creating a medical breakthrough. Maya knew. Keeping it hidden would repeat a buried fate, but bringing it to light could cost her and Ethan their lives. Sam stood nearby, a silent shadow, his eyes fixed on the muddy road. He knew danger was closing in, but also that Maya had no way back. She looked at him, nodded. They needed an ally. The next day, they left the house in Sam's old pickup, its tires slipping on the wet dirt. Maya clutched the tin box and notebooks, holding both hope and a death sentence. Their destination was the nearby city, to the one person Sam trusted, Dr. Grace Chen, an independent scientist ousted by Radcliffe after exposing their manipulated trial data. Chen's lab sat on the second floor of a weathered red brick building, fluorescent lights casting a glow over tables cluttered with vials and analyzers. She greeted them warily, but her eyes widened with awe as Maya placed the notebooks on the table. Each page turned thick in the air. Chen whispered, her voice breaking. If this is real, it could save thousands and destroy those in power. For hours, Chen pored over the notes, machines humming, screens displaying graphs matching Josephine's numbers. The results were undeniable. The compound was extraordinarily effective, something Radcliffe had tried and failed to replicate. Maya sat still, cold sweat running down her spine. She held the key to saving lives and the trigger for a pharmaceutical empire's wrath. As dusk fell, Chen handed Maya an envelope with copied data, her voice firm. This work can't stay buried. But you must prepare. Radcliffe won't back down. Back at the Mercer house, Maya noticed the doormat shifted, though she'd left it neatly placed. In the living room, dust on a bookshelf showed a strange gap. Someone had been inside. Her heart clenched as she found a black envelope on the kitchen table. Inside was a single photo Ethan secretly snapped while playing on the porch, the frame blurry but clear enough to convey the message. That night, fear nearly choked her. But seeing Ethan asleep, his thin face shadowed, she knew she couldn't falter. Josephine's silence had killed her. Maya wouldn't let history repeat. Sam found an old cassette tape in the underground lab. When played, Josephine's voice echoed, trembling but defiant. She'd recorded her final conversation with Richard Patton. The audio was faint but clear, a commanding male voice threatening, mentioning Josephine's weakness, stating her work would never see the light of day without cooperation. Maya froze. This was the missing piece, direct evidence tying Radcliffe to Josephine's fate. In desperation, Josephine had left everything for her successor. Now it was Maya's turn to turn that legacy into a torch against the darkness. She and Sam decided to send all documents, data copies, and the tape to a trusted investigative journalist in the capital, known for exposing medical scandals. As the envelope was mailed, Maya felt like she'd tossed a spark into a pool of gasoline. No turning back. The darkness would react, fierce and unrelenting. Late that night, as Maya closed the bedroom window, a car's headlights flashed from the dirt road, beaming straight onto the porch. She held her breath, standing in the dark, staring at the motionless beams. 1 minute, 5, then 10. The lights remained, blazing like giant eyes fixed on the house. When the car finally backed away, leaving the yard in darkness, Maya knew the real storm was coming. That morning, the small town woke to a flood of news. From TV, radio, to online outlets. Josephine Mercer's name rang out. The taped conversation with Richard Patton, along with the verified research documents from Dr. Chen, had been published. Headlines screamed, Radcliffe, accused of suppressing breakthrough medical research. CEO Richard Patton faces charges of threats and murder. Maya sat in the Mercer house, eyes glued to an old TV borrowed from Iris. Ethan sat beside her, his small hand gripping hers. He didn't fully grasp the scope, only that their story had burst beyond these rotting walls, becoming the nation's story. Meanwhile, the FBI raided Radcliffe's headquarters, uncovering internal memos, emails, and documents hidden for 30 years. The gruesome pieces fell into place. Josephine had been stalked, threatened, and eliminated for refusing to sell her work. The company had tried and failed to replicate her formula, then buried it by erasing evidence. Richard Patton, stone-faced before cameras, was led away in handcuffs. The empire he built trembled before the world. But the victory wasn't just a titan's fall. It was the resurrection of a silenced voice. Josephine Mercer, the black woman forgotten in the dark, became an icon. Her image, those heterochromatic eyes blazing in old photos, spread everywhere. Journalists called her the people's healer, a scientific genius stolen by history. Maya unexpectedly became her successor. With Chen and a team of independent doctors, she founded the Josephine Mercer Foundation, committed to making the Carthers treatment affordable for the poorest. On the land once called cursed, Maya built a new herb garden, reviving an unfinished dream. They called it Mercer Gardens. Ethan, his health stabilizing in the clean air and steady care, became a living testament to faith's power. He ran through lavender-lined paths, his eyes bright as if untouched by darkness. With each step, Maya felt closer to Josephine, as if two women across generations were linked in an unbroken stream. On Mercer Gardens opening day, a crowd gathered, candles flickering across the garden. Maya stood before them, hands trembling as she held Josephine's photo. In that moment, she didn't just speak of a lost woman. She spoke of hope, justice, the power of refusing silence. Eyes followed her, many teared up, seeing in this story their own sidelined, forgotten, but never truly gone. As the ceremony ended, Maya stepped onto the porch. The evening breeze carried a faint lavender scent. For a moment, she glimpsed a woman's silhouette at the second-floor window. Slender, graceful, eyes one blue, one brown, watching quietly. Not a hallucination, but a presence. Josephine had never left. That night, with Ethan asleep, Maya wrote in a new leather-bound journal. She recorded the first days, the fears, the moments she'd wanted to flee, and she left a message for whoever might find it. If you read this, know that truth always has a price, but silence is far more terrifying. On the table, Josephine's old journal sat beside the new, two eras side by side. Candlelight cast Maya's shadow on the wall, blending with Josephine's in the framed photo, as if two souls continued in an unending symphony. Outside, the press still buzzed about the upcoming trial, Radcliffe's unexcavated secrets. Maya knew the story wasn't over. The forces that hid in the dark still lurked, but this time, she wasn't alone. Beside her stood a community, justice, and Josephine Mercer's indomitable spirit. There are moments that change a life. For Maya, it was spending her last $900 on a house others called cursed. Yet that place unveiled a truth buried for 3 decades. The medical breakthrough of Josephine Mercer. A brilliant black woman, a powerful force tried to erase. Today, the Mercer house is no longer a place of fear. It's become Mercer Gardens, a place of healing, where past and present connect through Maya and her community. Ethan, once struggling to breathe, now fills his lungs amid the herb garden. And Josephine, though gone, left an immortal legacy: justice, faith, and hope. This story reminds us that truth can be buried, but never forever. Someone always rises to carry the flame. And sometimes, that someone is the person you least expect. If you believe in the power of justice and forgotten dreams, leave a comment, share this story, and hit follow to catch more incredible tales.